the house price to income ratio is the highest among our peers by a far margin. Investors are buying a growing share of new supply. I'd add that household debt is very high in Canada. I know you don't do microeconomics, so I won't ask you totally how do we address this unless you want to volunteer in that. But I do want to know how much that concerns you.
So we've been highlighting for some time that the combination of high house prices and high household indebtedness is a vulnerability to the Canadian economy. What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is that if the economy were to slow sharply, that vulnerability could accelerate the downturn. If people lose their jobs, they're going to have a hard time covering their mortgage. And if they have a very big mortgage, their house price comes down. Even selling their house may not cover it. So that is a vulnerability, and a number of steps have been taken over recent years to try to manage that vulnerability. The question mentions investment. We have seen when house prices were going up rapidly, with a bit of a lag, we did see investor demand for housing. The number of housing purchases by investors did increase. Governments put in place restrictions on foreign investment on housing to try to dampen that down. The other thing, which I think was quite useful, is that there's a stress test. So when you go to get a mortgage, normally you have to qualify at 200 basis points, 2 percentage points above the current rate. When interest rates got very, very low, we knew that there was more capacity for them to go up because they were way below normal. So that was actually increased to a set rate of 5.25. So when people got a mortgage at very low interest rates, they did, the bank did have to establish that even if interest rates went up to 5.25, that they could cover that mortgage. So, that does mean, yes, we've raised interest rates rapidly. That is having an impact, particularly with people on variable rate mortgages.
Which is a fairly small number, I guess, on variable rate mortgages.
Most people have fixed rate mortgages, the 5-year being the most common. But it is true that, in the last 2 years, through the pandemic, house prices went up 50%. The housing market was unsustainably hot. And more people than usual stretched to get into that market. And one of the ways they did that was they took a variable rate mortgage. As the question mentioned, a lot of them had quite high loan to value mortgages with variable rate mortgages. So it is not the biggest part of the market, but it has gotten bigger through the pandemic, and that is a vulnerability. That is a source of concern, and it does mean that this adjustment to higher interest rates is painful for that segment.